What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another edition of Down South Sports Fanatics. Man, we got a good show for everybody. I hope y'all tuning in. Please make sure to share and like the page. Also, join us with your comments. We want to give y'all opinion on it. We want your opinion on it. But without further ado, let me introduce my co-host. What's up, Mr. Pacho Gonzalez?
What's up, man? What's up? Ready to get into NFL season, ready to get started, man.
You ready to do it?
Ready to get down. Who that?
I hear that, I hear that. What's up, the voice himself? I just call him the voice, man. The voice of reason. What's up, Dave Robin?
What's going on, guys? Man, just watching a lot of baseball right now. Y'all got to fill me in on some of this NBA playoffs because after the Pels were out, I was out almost, man. So let's do this, man.
It's all right, man. We can look.
Give me some info, man. What's happening?
Yeah, you're right about that. Before we send shout outs right quick, I want to say thank you, Lance, Brandon, all y'all for joining us, man. Listen, look, the playoffs have been good. Pancho, what's your take on? I think we're getting more lopsided now as we're getting deeper into these playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of bickering about the refs, not with the petty calls and non-calls. Today, Rick Carlisle of the Indiana Pacers is now sending out 75 videotapes of calls that they should have called. What's your thought on that?
Well, first and foremost, let me get a shout out to all our high school seniors, man. They all graduating today, this weekend. So, for anything, man, let's congratulate them on their great achievement.
And especially to our co-host, the coach Darren. His daughter's graduating tonight, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, my stepdaughter's also graduating tonight. That's why.
Congratulations to her too.
Yep. Yeah, so, party y'all's asses off, but be safe, man. Be smart, be safe out there, guys.
Well, I tell you what, to say Pancho knows my daughter very well, and this weekend's a big one for me. My daughter is graduating from college, from Southeastern, so that is a big day for us too.
So good stuff, man. Rock and roll.
And you got it's a young league right now. You got young guys taking over. You got even the older guys aren't really old. You got Jokic in here. You got different things going on, and so you see the smaller market teams. That they're trying to make their stance, and they're trying to let everybody know, hey, we here, we exist, and we're ready to move. I mean, going to the Pels situation, the whole arena thing, man, could be a whole mess for the Pels, but that's a small market issue. But that's what Carlisle's issue is with he's just trying to fight for his team, which I didn't see a lot of fight from our coach much at all.
But what he's saying about the small market teams, Dave, this is to get you up to speed. He's talking about the non-calls because that's not true, because you got two teams that's in the small market in OKC and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right. I mean, and look, Minnesota right now is probably the most watched team going right now in the NBA. I mean, with Anthony Edwards doing what he's doing, becoming one of the biggest superstars in the game. I mean, so yeah, and Oklahoma City, I mean, look, that's as small of a market as it gets. It's one of the, three smallest markets in the league. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's anything to do with that. I mean, I just think, look, the Knicks, they're grinding it out, man. They're a hardworking group. They got some injuries, man, but the OG trade was huge. Jalen Brunson's been ridiculously good for them. And our old buddy, former Pelican Josh Hart, man. Look what that dude did yesterday. 48 minutes, hustled his ass off. That dude always gives it every night. I mean, I miss Josh Hart. He's one of those guys you wish you still had in a Pels uniform. But, dude, yeah, I mean, look, calls are bad. I'll say this. I'm just glad it's not the Curry, LeBron calls of the past. I'm glad we got a new era coming in. I mean, to me, hey, Rick Carlisle, tell your team to play better, man. Simple as that. I respect him as a coach. I think he's been good for a long time, but play better.
Dave, it's funny you say that because of the teams that are left in the playoffs, he wants to gripe and complain about officiating. But won't you play more defense when your defense ranks 25th overall in defense? The two teams that are in the small market rank first and fourth in OKC and Timberwolves. So maybe your defense is the problem, not the officiating.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers aren't going anywhere this year. I mean, it's really, let's be real. I mean, it's probably Boston coming out of there. I mean, the Knicks have been a great story. I mean, I don't know, the Knicks may give somebody a run, but I mean, I don't know, man. Indiana's not, to me, like honestly, right now, if the Pels were in the East, we're a superior team to the Pacers right now.
Yeah. Look, Pancho, Lance just said the problem with the officiating is they call plays differently in the regular season versus the playoffs. You agree with that?
I mean, it always has to be that way. Back when we was growing up, playoff basketball was non-calls. Like you just kind of.
Yeah, you could like kick somebody in the face, man, and get away with it.
Yeah, well, you could. I mean, it's just like they did. What do you mean? They punched and kicked.
Charles Oakley, dude, Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer. I mean, Dennis Rodman. I mean, dude, it was great. It was beautiful, man. So yeah, you expect to get away with maybe a little more. Let the guys play. You know what I mean?
Are we surprised of the dominance that the Timberwolves have over the defending champion Nuggets right now?
The fact that it's on the road, yeah, I am.
This is the issue. So the issue is the blatant calls that aren't, there was the kickball that was hit by a hand, and interjecting yourself into a game when you the bottom man. I mean, the refs are the bottom man on the totem pole. They're paid less than the lowest man on the bench. Probably the assistant coaches on the bench. So you can't insert yourself and play, the pissing game, I guess. And interject yourself. You got to let the guys play and let the cameras do their job. The cameras are there for a reason, especially in primetime, playoffs. You want to get the right call at the right moment, and you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to be because of your decision. You want the game to play itself out. I'll
say this, man. The review situation has to get updated, man. I mean, the NBA, to me, out of all the major sports, has the worst review system by far.
You think that, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. Baseball, it takes a little while, but they get it right. I mean, they go to New York right away. It's pretty clear cut what's able to be challenged and what's not. The NFL, I know it's a little drama built up in the NFL, but overall, I think it's gotten a lot better in the NFL. I mean, not saying the officiating's better. I'm saying the review process is on point. But the NBA, dude, I mean, it's like, we see Antonio Daniels gripe about it all the time on Pelicans broadcasts. It feels like it's ever changing, man. Like the rules are changing on a weekly basis. And I mean, I think Adam Silver has to allow more challenges for one, but they got to be a little more clear about the way they do this.
Dave, are you scared about this slowing down the game with more challenges?
Not really, man. See, I'm one of those people, man. Like in baseball, they want the speed of the game, and I understand it with baseball just because of the nature of the game. But I just want you to get it right, man. I don't want a game like that Kings series. I mean, we know what happened now with that, like that Kings Lakers series back in the Chris Webber days with Vlade Divac and Peja. You remember those teams when they were supposed to take out Kobe and Shaq, but the referees had another idea. But I don't want series like that happening. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not too many you could point to and say, hey, man, that team definitely lost that series because of the officials. I mean, you never want it to come down to that. But the reviews have got to just clean up a little bit, man. Just make it an easier process.
Yeah. Jerry, I didn't say that OKC is the smallest market. I said the smallest markets left in the playoffs. I mean, I think OKC and New Orleans are about right with each other as far as
they're pretty
markets.
similar. I mean, Memphis, cities like Oklahoma City, Memphis, New Orleans, and we're in that bottom tier,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a sense of what's going on, the Tim Donahue situation going on before it happens, but the problem can't keep throwing caution at every time you get a chance to just the legs up and pitch a case. There's got to be some kind of clear-cut evidence. Something has to be done, but you can't keep crying foul when But again, is the coach barking up the wrong tree? Should he, like you saying, should he be bitching at his team more than bitching? But with the Green, he did a bunch of no calls. He didn't review much of anything and kind of just sat there with his own.
My thing is this, Pancho. He wants to call about the play calling, which we keep beating dead horse about. I mean, about the referee, the officiating. Here's the thing: you got one man, Brunson, who's doing most of all the scoring for the Knicks, and you can't stop him. I mean, come on, dude. That's a coaching problem.
I'll say this right now: Tom Thibodeau looks like the better coach in that series right now.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you guys this because I miss, like I said, I'm watching a lot of baseball. I'm obviously watching the Cubs. I'm repping the Cubs, man. We're right there in that hunt for the NL Central, man, kicking some ass. But, I got to ask you guys this. So game one, I caught game one, but game two, how was the officiating with Denver and Minnesota, man? I mean, I heard Pancho saying some things. I know about the Jamal Murray incident. I'm aware, I looked at the stat lines. I kind of did my homework a little bit, but the officiating was that bad, I suppose?
Yeah, well, look, thanks, Randy. What's up, man? How you doing, man? Thank you. Make sure to share and like the link. Pancho, you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
You go ahead, man.
The situation with the Denver Nuggets and the Timberwolves right now, Dave. The problem is the only person really complaining is the coach and Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's complaining because they are suffocating him on defense. And that's the problem.
Almost like what Dort did to Ingram, basically. Almost.
Exactly.
Huh?
And he's crying and he's this and that. And by the way, he gets away with, I said early in the week, I thought he would get suspended. It didn't happen. That's fine. I was wrong on that. But I do think when you throw an object on the court, not once, but twice.
Right. I mean, I don't want to see one of the best players on the team miss a series unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, you can't go out there and punch somebody or, whatever, but can't do a Draymond Green. But, you want to have those guys on the floor. You want it to be settled the right way. You know what I mean? If Minnesota's going to win this series, you want it out with Jamal Murray out there. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to see it shame.
And Dave, shame on me. I'll be the first one to admit. I don't know if y'all will. I'll be the first one to admit. I did not see this coming from the Timberwolves. I thought they were at least a year or two away.
Look, I mean, I don't know, man. Pancho, I mean, do you see this too? Because, I mean, let's be real. I've been saying this for a while with the West. I think the Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers, that's all old hat. You got to watch out for these teams like Minnesota. You got New Orleans. I think we'll be bouncing back. Obviously, Oklahoma City. But don't even sleep on Memphis. I mean, Memphis was a joke this year. John Morant comes back. Guess what? They get a high draft pick. They got Desmond Bane. They got Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, that's the team you can't forget about. They could easily win 50 games next year, Memphis. I mean, we saw how far they got before the John Morant injury happened, the year before. So, I mean, there's a lot of talent in the West, but it's changing, man. But Minnesota, dude, I want to say this. Anthony Edwards, great player. They got a good mix of old and new. Conley, we joked about him on here, but he's a good leader. But Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid, to me, that's something that's really intriguing. They know how to use three very talented big men.
What was so impressive, Dave, I'll let you go, Pancho. What was so impressive was they did it without Rudy Gobert, the best defender on the team. Reigning, defensive player of the year. I mean, I know he lacks a lot of offensive skills, but still, I mean, that to lose a defensive player like that and still do that, man. Go ahead, Pancho.
What you kind of seeing here is the turnover of teams trading stars and getting a load back in return. Your OKC turnovers now of teams that acquired the
Pancho, your microphone's going in and out. Real bad.
All right, so the what's going on is the big turnover of all the first round draft picks that the Lakers
good,
and that all these other teams have given away. And they just you see the Pels are almost there. They scratching at the floor, but we still need to see some things happen. So the days of your big stars getting paid and taking over. You might not be seeing that no more. You got these new young guys. You got Wemby. You got Holmgren. You got Ant. The league is in
Zion, man. Yeah.
Great point. Great. Excellent point, Pancho. Excellent point.
You got the league in good hands right now. You got a lot of excitement going on. John Morant has been a little absent. You got, with Luka, then you got so you got a lot of.
And look, Lance just said, look, Josh McDaniels is suffocating Murray. He is. Josh McDaniels is a premier defender.
That's what you're getting out of the OKC and even the Timberwolves. They're just locking down their best player, the other team's best players, and making it work.
What's up,
Richie,
Coach Darren? Huh?
You got a guest on the backstage. I'm about to bring him in.
Got you, but let me listen, yes, man, that's good. Listen, without further ado, y'all, I want to welcome on my guy, Gus Kattengell from ESPN of New Orleans. What's up, Gus?
Hey, man, how you all doing?
How you doing, my brother?
Doing well, man. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you, too, man. Thank you for taking your time out for a few segments for us to go over a little sports, little Pelicans in New Orleans, man. Listen, I just want to dive into it real quick. What is your thoughts on this season for the Pelicans?
Boy, I tell you, it's interesting because I've asked that a lot to other people over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think everyone kind of says and feels sort of the same. It's hard to look at it completely as a disappointment or as a failure because it wasn't from this standpoint. You almost got 50 wins. You should have gotten 50 wins. Quite honestly, the fact that you had 13 to 14 games that you lost in clutch situations, you should have won over 50 games. So for you to say that, for you to be a team that should have won 50 or over 50, you're not a bad team, okay? And then you do have to put it into context of the Western Conference. The Western Conference is a joke. And then when you look at the teams that didn't make the playoffs, you're literally looking at teams like Houston, San Antonio that beat you. The Grizzlies are a completely different team if Ja Morant is playing, as we saw, because in the brief 2-week period of the season where he played, he beat the Pelicans twice in like in a week. So you can definitely see the difference that that you've had just when he played. So I think from that standpoint, you look at teams 1 through 3. It was a 4-5 team race for basically the 5th and 6th seed, and I understand the name play-in team, the phrase play-in team. It's different than 3 years ago. It was different than last year, right? Think of this, guys, as we go into action the rest of this week. Minnesota and OKC lead the Western Conference playoff series they're in. They were the 8th and 10th seed last year. So, the Suns were a different team. The Mavericks had a full season, obviously, with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. They're just better. I mean, when the Lakers with LeBron and AD and Steph Curry and Golden State's trying to get into the play-in, I mean, they're not terrible.
Yeah.
But it is, and it does feel like a disappointment because of that. Maybe not maximizing your potential. You should have won games. You were 4-24 at trailing at halftime. Which basically means if you didn't lead in the first half, you didn't win in the second half. You were what was it? Got off 0-24 after trailing for 3 quarters. I mean that's bad. I mean those are absolute legit reasons, and then you don't even score 92 points in the playoffs in 4 games. That's why I think people immediately probably feel like it's a bad season. It's not successful. And I think that's the thing that almost makes it even more disappointing. Plus, you changed your identity towards the end of the year for some reason, as it's been reported.
Yep. So, Gus, do you see any significant changes in the offseason?
I just go by what David Griffin said. He said yes, right? I mean, he said that you have to, in the Western Conference, 2 different changes, that you have to be able to compete in the West, and that you have to not stand pat. So, look, I think the one thing that also stood out more than anything was hearing him say, you needed to see some things, and we've seen enough. Right? Almost to like what Sean Payton said back in the day when he says, I've seen enough, right? With that left tackle, if you remember, Charles Brown. I've seen enough. Because that was the thing that I would say even on our show, man. You don't know what to do at the trade deadline because you haven't seen it. And as remarkable as it sounds, and I thought this year would get it, you still haven't seen Zion in 5 years play a playoff game. And you have to judge what you do based then, right? Because it's all about then. So you got there, and now you saw what happened. So is there fit? Is there enough playmakers? If there, so I mean, you got enough though this year, more than ever, to know where you have to go.
Yeah.
But man, it's just, I mean, guys, he's going into his 6th year, and he has.
Gus, tell us a little bit how everybody can watch your show, man. Give us an insight.
Well, I'm just 12 to 3 each and every day over on ESPN New Orleans, so you can check us out. Obviously, on the radio, TuneIn radio app, anywhere you get, radio stations, and a way to check it out.
Well, I got you on, Gus. What grade did you give the Saints draft?
So I would say, in grading them, I think I'm probably even with everywhere else. I mean, everybody pretty much have them at an A plus, A-, B. I mean, look, first and foremost, you had to get the tackle. You address that. You got a guy in the 2nd round that is a starter. I mean, by all indications, that's the guy that can come in and play for you. That was my only prerequisites. I had the bar low, right? And then low yet high. Yet, in other words, like, look, I didn't want to hear the word project on Thursday or Friday. Please, no project on Thursday and Friday. You want to do projects on Saturday, that's fine. But I don't want to hear this is a guy that I need to see somebody that's done it. You got a guy in Fuaga that literally didn't give up a sack but like one time in the season. That works. I see that. I love listening to Jim Nagy say this guy is a future Pro Bowler. This is an all-pro guy. Awesome. I love that. And Kool-Aid McKinstry, I love hearing that he's a boring cornerback. He just does all the fundamental things right. He fits the system, and that's the other thing, too. This isn't, well, let's grab the best player and hope he fits in our system. And I go
Yeah.
back to the combine when Jeff Ireland kept saying that he sat down with, Clint Kubiak and like, who are the players that you like? I
Yeah.
love that. Just tell me what your plan is, make it make sense, and then go apply it, which is why I keep saying, guys, this isn't a 3 to 5 month band-aid on offense. I keep telling people, whether you're a Dennis Allen fan or not, they're not going anywhere. You're not going to make the changes you make on the offensive side. You're not going to ask him what players we need to draft for you for this offense to work and hope it works by August. It's not happening. That doesn't happen. So I think this is a 1 or 2 year approach. You look at San Francisco where they are now. That's not where they were a couple of years ago. Remember, they went out thought Trey Lance
Yeah.
was their guy. So it takes a few years, a season or two, go get it done. You don't want to use the word rebuild. Call it rebranding, reinstituting,
Yeah.
reshuffling, whatever. It's a something.
Right.
But go do that for sure. And then that way, I think it makes sense. So that's why I already give it the A. And I love the Rattler pick, guys, because go develop somebody. Get somebody that, has a little moxie or whatever, has a little attitude. I love it. I mean, I literally, before I clicked on y'all's link,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Twitter feed, and there's the video of him putting the helmet on, right? And somebody posted, 3 Super Bowls and 2 MVPs loading. I mean, it's great. I love it. I
Yeah.
honestly don't remember people being that excited about a quarterback that they've drafted because it hasn't happened very often. So
Right.
I'm good with that, man. He's not here to start now, but you know what? If it puts a little fire in their butts, that's good. I love that. I love the fact that the other picks that you made, whether it's Bub Means and some of the other players, just make sense. And that's what I mean. Like Saturday, fine. Let's develop. You need, guys on special teams. And look, Jalen Ford played at Texas, not Texas State, not Texas Southern. He played at Texas. So
Yeah.
that's a guy that you would hope can at least come in. And I love how he talks about it. He's like, I'm here to be on special teams, but I'm also here to try to get a starting job.
Yeah,
Right?
man. Look.
I love it.
Yeah, Dave, you got something to add, Gus?
I got
Yeah,
a question.
and Gus, I think also too, man. I'm glad we didn't do anything overly bold on draft day. I mean, we've done it before. We've traded up to get a wide receiver when we didn't even know who our quarterback was going to be the following year. And I mean, we've done crazy things in the past, but I thought it was real smart to kind of keep that conservative approach, and go, like you said, go get guys that fit your system, get good value like you got with Kool-Aid. But overall, I mean, I thought they did a good job. I agree with everything you said on the draft. I want to ask you about the Pels real quick, Gus.
Yeah.
Do you think this team, man, there's so many games you look back in the fourth quarter and it feels like you said, man, we just have problems for whatever reason closing out some teams. Is it a matter of needing a legit point guard? I mean, I know McCollum in today's NBA, positionless basketball, I get it, but it's like, man, does this team need to look for a legit floor leader?
All right. First off, I love your name, Voice of Reason. That's fantastic on the screen.
We call him the voice.
Them, man.
We call him the voice.
I love that. And Poncho, I'm a Cub fan, so I love your hat. It's not that I don't like
I'm
you,
repping
Rich.
too, Gus,
It's not
man.
that I don't like
Too,
you
man.
either. I mean, Rich, I agree to do the show, so I like you too. But I love the names. The beauty of it that I look at it, it's not the beauty. I was just talking about there's things that tell you what you need to do, right? Your eye, don't overthink the room. I mean, look, that's one of the things that David Griffin actually said afterwards that made a lot of sense to me. He goes, it's not just about the numbers, but are you asking the right questions about the numbers? And the biggest set of numbers that keep getting brought up is the plus minus with the 3 starters and things of that nature. So, like, you're talking about not being able to close games. Why is that, right? I mean, what did we see this week alone? We saw a young, because you have to just scratch with a Sharpie, a permanent marker, the phrase youth, young, I don't want to hear it, okay? Because the guys mostly on that floor have absolutely that. Brandon Ingram's been in the league over 5 years. CJ McCollum's been in the playoffs. Trey and them, whatever. I mean, he's been here 3 years. Jose and Najee, they played in the postseasons the last 2 years, whether it's the first round against the Suns or in the play-in. So I don't want to hear there's youth and inexperience when OKC is the youngest team in the Western Conference
Right.
to win the number 1 seed. And to your point, Voice of Reason, they played in over something like 30-something games that were considered clutch games, which is under 5 minutes, under 5 points, and
Mhm.
won pretty much all of them.
Wow.
So why are they executing and you're
Right.
not? Right. So I'm looking
Right.
at those numbers, the plus minus. Well, what is it? Well, let's just take what you just said in closing out situations and using those three guys. I almost felt like they staggered each. You really didn't have
Mhm.
those three guys a ton. You saw
Right.
it on occasion, but Zion would have his minutes with guys, and you would have Brandon Ingram with his minutes with some guys. So
Mhm.
they play different styles of basketball.
Right.
Um,
Right.
my eyes and my gut told me something feels different in March and in April. I'm like, I don't know who this
Mhm.
team is. Like
Right.
I don't ever remember, doing my talk show or doing post game after a Pels game going, well, we really lost that game because of Jonas Valanciunas. I
Right.
don't ever remember doing that. I don't remember
Yeah.
Pels would have gotten that game, but Jonas's defense killed us. I don't remember the first 2 weeks going, Pels would have won
Right.
that game, but Jordan Hawkins can't defend air. I
Yeah.
don't ever remember that. So
It's like a lack of
I
a dynamic down the stretch. It's like you don't have that dynamic that great teams have in the fourth quarter. Like every good team knows where it's supposed to go. You
it's
don't have
called
these wasted
identity.
possessions where the ball doesn't. The ball stays outside the 3-point line for the first 20 seconds of the shot clock, and it drives me nuts. You know what I
All
mean?
right, so you're the voice of reason. I'm going to be the voice of common sense. It's called an identity. It's the same thing
Right.
I kept screaming on the
Absolutely.
entire Saints
Yeah.
season. If I asked you three guys, what the hell did the Saints do
Yeah.
well? Tell me.
Yep.
On
Right.
3rd and 1, like I don't know what it is, right? Like I'm gonna know what my go-to is. What is your
Right.
go-to? Who is your go-to? What do you do? You have no identity.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Well, we play defense, fantastic. The other teams do too, but the teams I just mentioned in Minnesota and OKC and Boston, the #1 team in the East, they all
Mm.
based their team on defense, but they didn't forget the offense. They
Yeah.
shoot threes.
Right.
They rebound. They play together as a team. They move the basketball. So you're asking, those are the reasons that you didn't
Right.
close games.
Right.
Those are the reasons. And turnover. So you said point guard. That makes a lot of sense. But here's the problem.
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
talked to everybody that I know, Antonio Daniels, reporters,
Mhm.
basketball players. Voice of reason, go Google who's a real, true point guard today.
Right. Right.
Actually, aren't very many.
Right.
Traditional. Now that's the key. Traditional point guard.
Mhm.
The NBA loves its positionless basketball. You heard
Right.
again what David Griffin said. A scoring point guard is what SGA is, comma, but he gets them in the right sets.
Yeah.
He gets them in the
Right.
right plays. So basically it's basketball IQ. You need to
Right.
bring in somebody that can kind of get them in. Your traditional point guards, you really don't have them. And believe me, I tried because I'm with you. I'm like, I need a traditional
Right.
point guard. I need a traditional
Right.
point guard. Who is that?
Right.
I
And
look at
who
the
is that
draft. I'm
guy?
like,
That's where are you going to get him from if he is around? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like you said, it's a
Yeah.
rarity nowadays.
and
But
the draft this year is considered one of the worst NBA drafts in like
Right.
history.
yeah.
So
Right.
I'm sitting there going, "What do you do?" And then we had Will Guillory on the show, and he actually brought up something. And went, "I'll be damned." He said,
Mhm.
you need a ball handler. We're not
Mhm.
saying you don't. Now, can Dyson develop that? I saw his lab video today, and I got angry. I'm like, "Well, where the hell was that during the season? He's shooting threes. He's taking it to the
And
rim.
that
Some
kid could
dude,
defend, man. Great
yeah,
defender. I
some
mean,
guys
Dyson
playing
could
Mr. Miyagi and trying to hit him with a pad while he's doing the layup." And I'm
he's
like,
got the Jameis Winston workouts, huh?
it's unbelievable. I'm like, where was that? But again, was he asked to do that? Was he
Right.
allowed to do that? Did you develop that? Did you play him in game 33 and tell him run the point?
Right.
When BI is doing it, so there's a lot of other stuff in there. But
Right.
it goes
Right.
back to that, and Will Guillory goes, "Dude, you have got to redo the center room." And then he starts listing the bigs in the Western Conference. Who's your rookie of the year? Wembayama.
Right.
Who's the MVP? Jokic. He starts going on. Şengün cooked this team for
Oh
Houston,
yeah, absolutely.
right? Jaren Jackson Jr. cooks this team. And whoever the hell is that the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'm like, he's like, he may not play center, but
Hmm.
Anthony Davis cooks this team. And I'm like,
Right.
damn, it almost feels like this past NFL season. Guys, did y'all feel like the run game made a resurgence in the NFL?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I almost
And we didn't
feel
have
like
it. We didn't have it outside of Taysom. I mean, it was absent outside of Taysom Hill, you know?
right. So I almost feel like it may not be your traditional big, but I do think finding a rim protecting,
Yeah.
scoring,
Yeah.
ball handling big is the thing. If you have one, you're doing well. If you don't, I mean, look, throw in Al Horford. I'll throw in
Yeah.
Horford over there in East. But that's the thing. So when you're thinking of the teams you're going to have, Chet Holmgren, when you're
Right.
thinking of the guys that you're going to have to play, I started hearing what Will was saying. You're probably going to start naming more bigs than point guards. And that's a change. That's different.
Listen, before I let you go, Gus, Pancho
Wait.
has a question for you, brother.
My general question right now is on the Pell side, do you think they take the identity of the Coach Green? I don't see a lot of grit, a lot of, we grew up in the attitude era of sports where, Coach Phil Jackson or Pat Riley, coaches were getting heavily involved in the game. And now you see Willie Green doesn't seem a lot of fight for his players. They're asking for certain, video screens or replays, and they're not getting it. And Willie Green hasn't thrown down the board at all. He hasn't got in the he hasn't got any grit. And it seems like in the fight time, the players are taking that same stance. They kind of just being, like Brandon Ingram kind of didn't want the ball when he needed it. Like we facilitate through you and Zion to penetrate and kick out, and you don't want to do that because you got a guy following you around. So I think we need identity, like you saying, on be it some fight back, some grit. You can almost see it in Trey wants to, but he's scared to let go.
Man, you bring up what easily could be a 3-hour show. And I mean that in terms of that's just how a lot of fans sort of feel about that. I saw something along your lines, believe me. And look, obviously you guys know I work with Graf.
Yeah.
Graf is the chair tossing bleep this 30 seconds into the first quarter. Okay. So he is that guy. And I have on multiple occasions in this Pell studio, I'm like, is anyone angry? I'm like, it's like foul somebody.
I'm
And
at
that play-in game when the Lakers had 171 points in the paint, can you send somebody to the floor? It's along those things there. You finally saw a little something from Willie in that series with OKC where he asked about Brandon Ingram at the end of the game when he's like, well, Brandon's got to win the one-on-one battles, like that was as forceful as you have seen him. I think if I had to describe what I feel about Coach and that relationship and that team to people that don't follow him, he is a player.
Oh, might have lost him. We good? You good, Gus?
Definitely relates to them. I do think they respect him and like him who he is as a person, all those things. I do. I also think sometimes, though, and I've seen it in the past, so I'm not going to say specifically him because I'll be honest, I'm not in there enough. And what I mean by that is I'm not on the road. Seeing the end of practice is a lot different than when the open media portion is not there, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
Right? On the bus, on a plane, do players snicker? I can tell you that when I was the sideline reporter for the Saints. I can tell you that when I did play-by-play for Tulane. Who sits together? Who doesn't? During shoot-around, is he going over things and, somebody's looking up at the suites and, what I'm getting at? Like you can get a sense and a feel more often than not when that happens. So I don't know. But I'll say it is interesting that the messaging probably leads Pancho to what you're kind of saying, because I saw this week several fans say the signs in the practice facility is joy, togetherness. It's almost like a church. It's not like fight, grit, like Sean Payton's do your job. Things of that nature that kind of made you feel or think that those were the things that maybe you kind of had to do. So I think from that standpoint, that's something that stood out. So I do think it needs to be more challenging from that. But yeah, I could absolutely sort of feel like why you feel like that. And, when you have players getting like Zion was and stuff, and you're not doing anything about it and get angry, get fined. I mean, Rick
Yeah.
Carlisle yesterday
Right.
sits there and goes, we sent 49 different things,
Yeah.
to the league and all that. So I think I can understand that.
Well, listen, man, Gus, I know you got to go, man. Look, thank you for joining us, man. Listen, what's your handicap right now? I'm Alex Fernando.
I have no idea why I can't hear you now.
It's all right. Can you hear us?
Somebody tried to FaceTime me. It was my parents. Now I can't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Let's see if I can come right back in.
No.
No, it's all right. He's gonna rejoin us again, man.
It's
Tell you
somebody,
what, man.
that's why somebody called my phone. I got to get out and come back in. You lose sound.
Same way. Oh yeah.
You can't put it in airplane mode because you're like, what in the world is going on?
Hey, Pancho, like, is Gus back or is he still out?
He's not. He's out still.
Okay, I was going to ask you too, man. Like you were saying about the identity, there's a guy. I mean, I probably brought it up in a pod before, but you ever watch Orlando Magic? To me, like they're not the same talent levels of Pelicans. But you watch Mosley, their coach, the way Banchero and those guys rally behind him. He's got like an aggressive feel to him. That coach. I don't know if you watch that guy or pay attention on the sidelines, but that team's got a grittiness. I mean, now Orlando doesn't have the talent to win a championship, but they're gritty and they're getting there. But like you said, they to me wear that personality of their coach.
Why is it these younger teams or just seem like we've been doing this a lot longer than them in this rebuild mode, and it seems like they're passing us by?
I mean, like Gus said, I mean, teams like the Wolves and the Thunder just, this wasn't like they've been building, they've been this really good team on the brink of it for years.
Hey, what's up, Gus?
Now I can hear you. That's good. Yeah.
No, I was saying, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was asking you, I said, what's your handicap now, man? I'm going to ask Fernando.
I'm terrible. I haven't played golf in a while. I still go out there. Here's the thing. So I hate the heat. So I don't play like right now. Just anything above 65. I don't understand. Like Todd, the hotter the better. It's 103 in July, and he's playing with no clouds in the sky. I'm like, something's wrong with you. I don't understand. Like I don't enjoy this. I've lived here my entire life. There's no getting you either like heat and humidity or you don't. I am sticky from walking the dog, and I'm done. So I'm ready. I already count to October. But to the point that you guys were saying, it was funny. I was just listening to. You're right about like taking the personality of the coaches, and seeing that, and that is the frustrating element of it, guys. Because Minnesota, OKC sold off everybody, and they were made fun of because they had like 21 first-round draft picks. And Minnesota's, but you know what, though? Gagnon, 4 years. Finch, 4 years. And something stood out that I kept bringing up in our show. After they won the first round, Anthony Edwards was asked, when did you buy in? Like, when did it click for you? And he said 2 years ago. It clicked in that what Chris Finch, what Finchy, as he calls him, kept telling him to do. He said it was hard for me to tell him it didn't work when it was working. So that was an example of, look, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm good at, but a player trusting and buying into their coach and what they can do. And remember, Chris Finch was an assistant here.
He was here. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
we kind of letting the good ones go then, huh?
I do have one quick question for Gus. How excited are you to see Paul Scheme's debut against the Cubs?
Of course it had to happen, right? I mean, I've been so excited. Every week we have Tim Grubbs, the former voice of the Zephyrs. He's in Wichita now with the wind surge. He cannot get away from teams that have to do with wind, which is hilarious. And by the way, don't ever ask him about the baby cakes. He says he refused to even mention it. Never happened. Never happened. Never happened. So what's funny is he comes on once a week and we talk Major League Baseball. We talk minor league baseball with him, just his team. And he's a Pirate fan. So I'm like, where the hell is Skeens? Let's go. And he's like, it's this and that. And he was just on Tuesday. And literally Tuesday night is when it happened. And while I was waiting for you guys, I saw that Livy Dunn did take his selfie of herself in a car in the back seat with Paul Skeens saying we've arrived in Pittsburgh. So thanks to Livy Dunn, we know that Paul Skeens is now in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Man, that's good. Look, that's going to be a must-watch game right there, man.
Saturday. Are you kidding me, man? I mean,
And
come
we got a
on,
lot of
dude.
Cub fans down here in New Orleans, man. I mean, a lot of us grew up on WGN, so I mean,
Bingo. That's
know,
why I played baseball. You know, it's fun. That's why I followed the
absolutely.
NBA with the Bulls, and you remember obviously Fox Sports Southwest or whatever it was with the Astros and the affiliation here. One of my good friends grew up a Braves fan because of TBS.
Yeah.
And I
CBS,
talk about that on our show all the time. I think that's the reason baseball and a lot of these teams, man, don't have the viewership and following. I mean, I can go on and on about being able to view the Pels.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you
Right.
have to be able to watch games. That's what gets you
Yep.
wanting to.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
forget how
So-
bad it
so-
was
so
when they
Gus-
first
so
got
Gus-
here. I mean,
So, Gus, before we let you go, who you got going to the NBA Finals? What teams?
Man, I gotta be honest with you. I like Minnesota. I like Minnesota. I know OKC is gonna give them a run for their money. I just think at the end of the day, you have a guy that he reminds me of MJ, dude. He's just tenacious, and it's not that SGA isn't. I think SGA should have won the MVP, but at some point in time, Chet Holmgren being 142 pounds is going to weigh on him, and he's going to have to bang up against Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, and more importantly, actually, Mike Conley is one of the biggest factors on that team.
Yep.
That happens to that, and Finch is a good coach, and that could go 7. That could go 7. Now obviously the other two teams can come back and win those series, but I like to see that. And man, I gotta be honest with you. I think Minnesota and Boston would be a fun series to see.
Yeah. You got Boston maybe winning it, Gus?
So the only thing about Boston is they got everything that you would need, talent-wise. They got a team that has all kinds of things that they can do for you. They can shoot the three. They play defense. They got shot makers. They got a guy that could be a face of the league in Tatum. I wonder sometimes if they got it in here.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and because even when they played the Pels, and I played a lot of that press conference, the post game press conference from their head coach, man. It's very testy. It's you know, we've got to understand that we got to come out and play hard and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I almost wonder if they kind of either let that foot off the gas or don't understand it or not. And it just goes back down to that killer instinct, guys. Tatum and Brown are good when they close, and I think either you're a closer or you're not. You know, and I do think a guy like Drew Holiday matters a ton.
Yeah.
On that team. So we'll see. But
I don't see them beating the Timberwolves without Porzingis. That's for sure.
Porzingis is a huge thing for them. You're absolutely right, and that's what I'm saying. It goes back to kind of what I was saying a little bit ago. He's another big. You better find an athletic big that somehow can shoot a three, somehow can rebound and defend and block a shot for you. And that's why I keep saying it, because I'm with you guys. I've been screaming point guard, ball handler, ball handler, and then I'm like, oh, maybe my priority needs to be the big.
Listen, we
Yeah.
I can go find a ball handler. You know.
we can
Well,
always
listen, man, thank you for joining us, Gus. Man, listen, make sure to tell everybody before you go where to catch you at weekdays, on radio. We know, it's on ESPN New Orleans. We know that, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. 12 to 3 each and every day, man. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you. Listen, we'd
Anytime
love to
guys
have you
need-
back on during football season and maybe even during training camp, man.
Just text me, man. Just text me.
Thank you, Gus. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, guys. Thank
all
you
right,
so
Gus,
much.
thank you, man.
All right, man. Man, what a knowledgeable guy, huh, Dave?
Yeah, dude, I always one of these days, man, I'd love to talk more baseball too with Gus. I know I've seen, like I said, I always respected Gus's basketball coverage. Unfortunately, man, we don't get the best basketball coverage in this region, man. We just haven't. But I always thought, listening to Gus over the years of different networks, he's covered, Pelicans basketball as good as anybody.
When's that game?
Next Saturday or this Saturday. Is that this Saturday, Dave?
Is
The-
it
With the
Saturday?
Cubs, yeah, he's debuting. Cubs will be. They're off today. They're going to Pittsburgh, so yeah, it'll be Saturday. Which I'd like to see, man. It'd be really interesting. I don't know who. I'm having a blank, man. As much as I watch the Cubs, I should know who's probably starting. But it'd be really cool if Justin Steele would be starting that game, because Justin Steele, he's a guy not far away, man. He's a big Saints fan. He's from Lucedale, Mississippi, and he's coming off of an outstanding year. I mean, Justin Steele's becoming one of the best pitchers in the league. So I don't know if he's going to match up with Skeens. I got to look at the rotation of who's pitching. I don't know if y'all can pull that up or anything. We might have to do that another time. But But yeah, dude, I'll say this, man. It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, that guy can bring it. He's got nasty stuff. I mean, he has a chance to be a generational type, pitcher, man. I mean, he's got that kind of stuff.
It's been pretty action-packed with Gus and everything, but we need to get a shout-out to the Big Easy Mafia for letting us be their official broadcast podcasting. So yeah, all the Big Easy Mafia, go like and share there. They are one of the the biggest Saints groups in the area. They're Eric is a really big Saints fan. So yeah, go give Big Easy Mafia, man, some love. And
yeah, man, definitely do that, man. They've been good to us. We've been good to them, man. It's a great partnership, that's for sure.
They keep it real, man. That's what I learned. They keep it real on their posts, man. And we keep it real.
They got hats, they got shirts, they got all kind of stuff going on.
They got some good merchandise. I know that, man. I tell you that. So listen, guys. Dave, are you gonna keep up with these NBA playoffs or what, man?
Dude, no, I agree. Like, to me, Minnesota is the most interesting team right now. I mean, Boston, like you said, they've been the best team in the league all year. So yeah, man, there's a lot of reasons to watch. I mean, the defending champs are still in it. Jokic, the 3-time MVP now. Oklahoma City knocked us out. A lot of Pelicans fans want them to fall, or at least see how far they're going to go. You know what I mean? There's a lot to watch, man. That Knicks series is interesting. With
I
the
agree with Gus. I agree with Gus. I think they got the MVP wrong.
This is what's going on. So it's kind of crazy because the youth has taken over. So yeah, I mean, you look in these playoffs. Everybody, I mean, you got Jokic is probably second oldest to who? I mean, name the oldest guys in this playoff is Jokic.
Go Basil.
Well, let me ask y'all this real quick. I want to think before I forget this. Tom Thibodeau made a point. The Knicks head coach. He said he would feel a lot better if the MVP award was given after the postseason. How do you feel about that? Because I think that would change a lot as well.
Well, that takes away from the postseason MVP. I mean, you gotta have to have both awards.
It does, man. But like the games are so crucial at this point. Like now you're seeing Anthony Edwards right now. Wouldn't he be in the MVP conversation?
What about Brunson? What about Brunson?
That's what I'm saying. Brunson. I mean, let's be real. All the problems that team's had injury wise. For him to be the best player on that team right now.
We focusing a lot on Anthony Edwards, but I'm gonna tell you right now, bro, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you. Brunson's having the best playoff games right now in the playoffs.
Well, I'll say this, man. It's hard not to root for the Knicks a little bit. They haven't had a lot to cheer about. I hated the Knicks as a Bulls fan. You know what I mean? Growing up on WGN. But dude, there's something about Madison Square Garden. I've been in New York a couple times the last couple of years, dude. I really do love New York. I know people who haven't been there have a weird vibe about it, but it's really one of the coolest places in the world you can visit. And they're passionate, man. So it's like you kind of root for their passion. You know what I'm saying? They're one of the most passionate fan bases. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the TikToks. But
they was being carried by Randall for a while until he got hurt. So I mean, Brunson has since that time has been taken over. But you got Jokic,
phenomenal, dude.
You take Jokic out of that. I mean, so
I still think the Nuggets could be a borderline playoff team.
The dude misses a whole quarter and still puts up over 30 points. He misses a whole quarter.
Look, Jokic is hard to argue with, guys, no doubt about it. But I think the Nuggets do have a good supporting cast. But I agree, though. Like what Gus said, man, it's really hard. SGA would be the guy who would probably have the biggest argument because I don't think the Thunder without SGA, like he said, he facilitates the offense a little more than Giddey does, and Giddey's probably technically the point guard.
But what Pancho's saying is completely accurate, Dave. It's not only the big name guys, it's the guys around them that are young and they're coming off the bench and everything else. Pancho's 100% right, dude. The young talent in the NBA right now is phenomenal, dude.
Well, I mean, that's it. We can't give up on Zion as 23. B.I., we got a question to ask ourselves with B.I. this offseason. But, I mean, B.I. is, 25, 26? I mean, you got so many guys like Trey and Herb in their early 20s. I mean, we're a young team, man, outside of Valanciunas, who's probably moving on, and CJ. This is a very young Pelicans team. So, I mean, we fit the criteria. We're right there. You know what I mean?
How far are we removed from seeing the superstar pileups that the NBA has seen in the past?
I'm happy. I think these young guys are different, man.
I think that's what happened. Pancho, you bring up another great point. I think that's what happened in Phoenix. They wanted to redo that again, bringing in Beal, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
And it's not going to work. Phoenix, Richie. They got a lot of money tied up to those guys.
You know what nobody's talking about? Phoenix had a good young team going. They got rid of all that talent just to bring in Kevin Durant, and it ain't working.
And look, Bradley Beal. I mean, Bradley Beal's going to be making $50-something million the next couple of years.
You got your Lakers, your Clippers, all these teams that piled up these superstars, and they all, sitting at home.
Oh, those teams will be nothing. Those teams are dead. Mark my words. Those teams, the Warriors are done. The Lakers are done. The Clippers are probably done. The Suns are, to me, like a 7 seed at the best. At best, trying to get out the first round. That's who they are.
I will say this, Dave. If some rumors are correct and it happens, which I don't think it's going to happen now, if LeBron does decide to join Steph Curry, I think they could go somewhere.
Well, yeah, that would change it a little bit. That would change things. Yeah, if he went there, that's the one destination he could go. To me, that would make a lot of sense for him. And obviously Golden State. That'd be. I mean, with Klay Thompson probably playing his last game as a Warrior.
They're talking about Kawhi going to the Lakers. I'm like, what?
I don't know what the Lakers are going to do, man. I mean, they could go. Well, you know who else makes a lot of sense? Paul George is a free agent, so
they have no draft picks. So you have to buy. You have to pay players to come play for you. And
LeBron needs to opt out for that to happen. Yeah,
they have to come play for nothing. So the Lakers are.
I hate to say it, man, because like we said, we lived in the past and all that. But Pancho, you 100% right. It's a young man's game right now, man, and in the league is in good hands of these young players, man. They got some talent.
I mean, our one point guard was Kira Lewis that could have gave you some shadows of athletic talent at the point guard position, but
it was just something they didn't like. Yeah,
no, he was in such a win now mode. Kira Lewis isn't helping you win now in Willie Green's eyes. But if you look across the league, everything is structured, unstructured toward, like I said, young talent guys.
Yeah,
and they making it work. And the coaches are helping to facilitate that. But it ain't, it's crazy how the Wimbies and the Holmgrens and these young guys, they, taking over, man. It's just it's gonna be a fun time. And John Morant, if he can get his stuff together. So
it's gonna be a good team. Yeah, the Memphis Grizzlies will definitely bounce back. So that's another one to worry about for sure.
Yeah, look, the playoffs, we in good shape, man. Well, listen, guys, we're gonna call it a night, man. We've been on for a while. I want to thank Gus for joining us. I want to thank Big Easy Mafia, man, for being in partnership up with us and us being their official podcast. Listen, thank y'all guys for joining us. We'll have Darren, the coach, back next week. Congratulations to all your graduates this weekend, man. Enjoy it.
Be safe, guys.
Be life safe. Be safe and be responsible.
Go check out the Bayou. Facebook.
Take care, y'all.
With Chris Castro, Fatty, our producer. It's the Bayou Geeks. They basically talk about a little bit of everything, even old movies, toys, and.
Fatty was supposed to share the link for their big live show. I don't know why. Fatty, you got that? Please share it right quick before we get off.
I'll share it on when it goes live on y'all page.
All right, man. Listen, Fatty, thank you for everything you do for us, man. You know that. It's well appreciated.
Yeah, any Transformers
absolutely.
Fans, check us out Saturday.
Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all. Good night,
there you
fellas.
go. Trans.
Thompson is Boston Celtics right now. That's crazy.
That's cool. Peace out, brother.
All right, guys. Y'all be good.